What's up, guys? Welcome back to the next episode in our Pinterest series where we're doing some experiments and case studies to see what works and what doesn't. So in today's video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to start from the ground up. We're going to find a baseline. So in a minute here, we're going to go onto the screen. I'm going to show you the numbers I've been seeing for the past 5 or 6 days on my Pinterest account. And now that we've got a baseline that we can start with as a comparison point, then we're going to begin deleting pins and adding new pins to my Pinterest account manually. I'm getting rid of my auto scheduling, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to delete all the scheduling inside of Tailwind, and then we're going to begin tomorrow manual pinning. So today's kind of like a cleanup day where I'm going to be deleting things, looking at the numbers, kind of getting my account ready, and then tomorrow I'm going to have a schedule set up where I start manually pinning on my own, where I log into Pinterest and I pin some of my best pins that have done really well. So these tips are for established accounts that are trying to get their traffic back up from Pinterest. But if you have a brand new account, no worries. This is going to help you get your account off the ground the right way so that you don't have to come back and do this cleanup work in the future like I'm doing. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and get into the video on the screen. Alright, so first off, we've got Pinterest here. We've got the analytics to look at, and then we've got Tailwind, and we've got analytics under Insights. So to start off, I want to show you currently what I've been doing on Pinterest so you are caught up. So here's my account. We'll go into my profile. Alright, so I set up this account, gave my account a title, and I'm in the blogging and marketing tips space. Gave a little biography here with a link to my website over here, and then I also put it here in the bio. So that was the initial profile setup when I started my account. I created these different boards, if we go into the boards tab, related to blogging and marketing. So we've got my blog one for AskNickFoy.com where I pin all my blog articles. We've got my YouTube board where I pin different YouTube videos. We've got email list building tips, Pinterest growth tips, blogger resources and tools, and then I've got a couple boards where I repin some of my real estate investing pins that I have on another account called Under 30 Wealth. So those are my main Pinterest boards, and then I joined a bunch of group boards here. So as we scroll down, you can see these 8 group boards or so. I just joined this one today actually. It's got a lot of pins and I'm waiting for it to load in my Tailwind analytics under board insights here so that we could take a look at how that board's been doing. So if we scroll down here, you can see all these different boards. It'll track how many pins are inside of these boards, how many followers they have, how many repins, and it spits out a virality score. So when you join group boards like this one here, it's got a 1.36 virality score. Ideally, you want it to be above a 1.0, but a lot of group boards tend to fall below that. So for example, these ones right here are 0.48, 0.22, 0.12, 0.33. So these are really low virality score numbers. And what that means is that there's way more pins. You can see here thousands of pins, 30,000, 78,000, 34,000, and they have small repins, only 3,800 repins, only 26,000, only 4,000, only 9,500. So small repins compared to pins. What that does is that just means that there's low engagement. The engagement score is low here. So that means people are pinning to these boards and they're not taking time to repin other people's content. So they're kind of being selfish, just pinning their own content into these boards instead of repinning other group members in that board, their content. So the repins are low. That gives this board a low engagement score, and Pinterest likely sees it as a low quality group board. So that could impact the results your pins have. They likely aren't going to be shown as much because they're part of a board that's low quality. So Pinterest might judge all those pins as low quality. I'm not sure how the Pinterest algorithm works exactly, but we know from kind of examples here that these boards up here of mine that have better virality scores because they've gotten way more repins. So that is a big result of being pinned to quality boards, I've noticed. So when it's pinned to a lower quality board, it seems like it's a lot harder for these pins to do well. So that's what we did with boards there. So I joined these different boards, I created my own boards, And I actually have deleted a lot of boards that used to be down here. So I have left a lot of group boards that were low quality boards, and the remaining ones are ones that I saw in my Pinterest analytics. When I went to my profile, website stats, I was looking at, where are most of my clicks and saves coming from. So I use Pinterest analytics in addition to Tailwind analytics. That way I kind of get the best of both worlds. So inside Tailwind, or inside Pinterest analytics here, we can go under the Saves tab, and it'll bring up a little chart here. We can click the last 30 days to set the timeline. So I can kind of see day by day how many saves my different pins are getting. Here was a big spike on April 3rd. This could have been, well, it says 15 different people saved, so I guess quite a few people were saving pins that day. That's why it got to 29. But sometimes I go in and repin my own pins on another account I have to see what that does, if that helps me or not. So sometimes these big random spikes are actually because of me repinning my own content from different accounts. But that's something I'm not sure Pinterest looks too happily upon. But at the same time, I could just be another user just like other people are users, repinning content from the Ask Nick Foy brand. So I'm still testing if that works or not. Now here we can see the last 30 days. We can see which pins have been saved the most. So these are my most successful 2 pins right here. Now what I like to do is look at boards. So again, these are different boards that I'm part of that are group boards. So that's why I stayed part of these group boards, because they're contributing to my account. They're getting me saves, they're getting me clicks, they're getting my pins impressions. So when I came over into Tailwind and I saw, yes, these boards have low virality scores overall, the low quality of the board, but it is bringing me shares and people clicking through to my website. Now it's not a lot, but it still counts as something. So I went and deleted out the group boards I was a part of that had like 0 saves, 0 clicks. So like down here even, there's one right here, this one by Connie B, business. I've only gotten 3 saves, no clicks, only 25 impressions. So it's called business. So if we go back in here, I don't know if that is actually a board I still have. Pinterest might not have updated yet inside of Pinterest analytics, because I don't believe I'm actually part of that group board right now. That was one of them, for example, that I deleted from my Pinterest account. That way it's no longer, since I'm not really getting anything off of it, I'm getting hardly any impressions, hardly clicks, hardly any saves. So that's one that I, deleted because it had a low quality score. So that's what I did on the board side, all right? So cleaning up different boards that I'm a member of, and cleaning up boards that were my own personal boards on my account that just weren't getting it done. They weren't getting a lot of clicks or saves, like pins that I was pinning to those boards. So ideally, you want to pin pins to successful boards. That way Pinterest looks at those pins with more favor. All right, so the next thing we got to do is start deleting pins that aren't performing well. So we looked at board insights in Tailwind to find out what boards are struggling, and I was able to delete those boards. Now we can use the pin inspector tool to see which pins are doing good and which pins are not doing good. Now, when I talk about deleting pins, I'm not so much talking about deleting your own pins that link to your website. What you could do is look up all the different repins you've done of other people's, and if any of those are not doing anything, they've kind of just been fails. So like, let's say I go on to somebody else's profile, to their board, I repin one of their pins about Pinterest to my Pinterest board, for example. Later, I get into my Tailwind analytics and I see that, this pin has been getting 0 saves, 0 clicks. So since it's not my pin, since it's not doing anything, it's not getting any saves or any clicks, it's not helping my account in any way, and it's not even my pin, so it doesn't take people to my website. So this would be a pin I would consider deleting. Now, your pins that link to your website, it's a risky thing if you decide to delete them or not, because they might not be getting much clicks or saves right now, but you never know, down the road a big pinner could pick it up on their feed and they could save it to one of their boards, and all of a sudden that pin could go viral. So I always recommend maybe leaving your own personal pins on your account and not worrying about deleting them. Just keep repinning new content from your website, and maybe that new content will take off. But when I talk about deleting, I'm talking about deleting other people's pins that you've repinned to your account that never got any traction going. They never ended up getting shared, clicked, engaged with. So those are dead pins that are just hurting your account scores in the eyes of Pinterest. So they are worth, deleting potentially to help lower, your pin total. And then when Pinterest looks at how many repins your account has versus how many pins your account has, you're going to have a better virality score and a better engagement score by deleting those underperforming pins from other people. All right, so back here again, kind of going off what we just talked about, you can use this pin inspector tool now, and I can see which pins have had the most repins, and it also shows me when it was pinned. So you can maybe correlate some of your more recent pins maybe aren't as successful because they're so new, where this one was pinned last year in 2017, and so it's had the most repins. So these are individual pins. So every time I repin a copy of a pin, so for example, this how to create online courses, this is one individual pin here, and then later, if I repin it to another board, that creates a second copy. So for example, when we scroll down here, you can see this pin again. It's got 40 saved, so this is two separate pins. This is probably a repin, a copy. This might be the original pin. If somebody else repins this pin to their board, then it creates another copy. So there are tons of copies of pins out there when you get lots of repins. So this just happens to be, one that did well twice. So that could be a future idea that I look to create content around. People were most interested in how to create online courses that sell. So that might be another blog article I write in the future and pin to my account. Or I could create more pins that, for this one article that I already wrote, just create 5 or 6 different versions and pin those to my account. That way I can drive more traffic back to that article. So using this inspector, again, you can find which pins are doing good, and when you want to reschedule it because it's doing really good, you can click this reschedule button. But again, I'm trying to get away from using the scheduling tool now. So what I might do is actually open up this pin in Pinterest and find the URL, copy it, save it to a spreadsheet, and then later when I want to pin it again, I just go into that spreadsheet, grab that URL, and we go and repin that pin to another board. So I'm not actually uploading a new fresh pin, I'm just repinning it again to a new board. That way I can keep driving traffic and exposure to it. So overall, we just scroll down here and you can just see a list. So I might go all the way down to the bottom to like one of these last pages here. So we could set 50 pins per page. I can take it to 100 so I can see more. But we might go to this last page, page 5 here, and you can see these are pins that, well, we'll keep going, I guess. We've got page 7 here, page 9. So when you've pinned thousands of pins to your account, it could go for a long time. So in this case, we're all the way back here now on page 13. So a lot of these pins you can see now here on page 13, they've only got one share. A lot of these have only gotten repinned one time. So this is what I'm talking about. All these pins that are underperforming, they were published way back in May of 2017, so about a year ago. And they've only gotten one repin. So they're what we'd call dead pins or failed pins because they were published a long time ago. Nothing's really happened to them. They're not getting repinned. They're not getting clicked or shared or anything. So these are ones that are actually to my website. So again, it's tricky if you decide you want to delete these or not, because they're obviously not performing very well. But at the same time, any of these could take off and go viral at any moment. You never know. So these ones I'll probably leave for now. But if I scroll through here and I notice a pin that came from somebody else's, like this one right here, affiliate marketing by Happy Toe Ander, and it looks kind of like a spammy link. So this might be one that we try to figure out how to open up and delete from my account. So all I had to do there was click on it, or I right-clicked it and opened it in a new tab. So it pulls open the Pinterest page. So it's got the URL here with the little number that codes for this pin. So it's trying to load this page right now. But once it loads, I could see where that's pinned, what board I pinned it to, and then I'll go ahead and delete that pin. So overall, go through your boards, look to see which pins are not yours, that are other people's, that aren't performing well, aren't getting clicks, repins, anything like that. Again, you can use Pinterest analytics. You can kind of see pins that aren't getting any repins, but I think it's a lot easier to use Tailwind. They've got this pin inspector tool that will save you a ton of time. It'd be a lot more tedious if I tried to go to my Pinterest analytics to find out what pins were not getting saved, because only so many pins on your account are actually getting saved, and you might have hundreds or thousands of pins. So Pinterest Analytics isn't going to show you the pins that aren't getting saved. It's only going to show the ones that are in the last 30 days. So that pin inspector tool from Tailwind, that's how I easily go in and find all the different pins that have 1 or 0 shares, and I go and delete those pins if they're not mine. If they are mine, like I said, I try to leave them, and then later we'll come back again, and if they still haven't gained anything yet after a couple years of being on Pinterest, or maybe several months, depending on what timeline you want to set, then you could go in and delete those pins. And one thing you can even do once you delete those pins that aren't performing, that were going to your website, you could just come here and re-upload it. But when you upload it, give it a different pin description with different keywords, because maybe you didn't give the right keywords in the pin description to tell Pinterest what it was about, and pin it to a different board this time as well. If you pin it to one of your better performing boards, or a board that matches the keywords. So if I deleted an email pin that wasn't doing good and it happened to be on my Ask Nick Foy board, this time around I might upload it to my email list board. That way it tells Pinterest, all right, in the pin description it talks about email list building, and they also pin this pin to the email list building board, so this pin must be about email list building. And then Pinterest might be more likely to show it up in the search when someone types in email list building and they display all these different pins in their search feed. Your pin might start coming up now because you repinned it a new time with different keywords, different boards, and that might, make a difference. So that's one thing you can do too, is go into your Tailwind Analytics here, look at all these underperforming pins that go to your website that aren't doing anything for you, and consider repinning them, but with a new pin description and to a new board, and see what happens with the new version. Kind of compare the old version to the new version, and you can do some experimenting and see if that causes any change in traffic and shares for that pin. So again, to quickly recap, I've got this spreadsheet here where I've been tracking for the past 4 to 5 days. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out these different columns here for my 3 different accounts that I'm doing case studies on right now. My blogging brand, Ask Nick Foy, my real estate investing brand, Under 30 Wealth, and my golf brand, Golf Practice Guides. So these 2 accounts, I've been able to get up to that 200,000 monthly viewer mark, but my Ask Nick Foy brand's the one that's struggling. So what I'm going to do is start doing different experiments with different accounts to see kind of which strategies are working. I'm not going to do the same thing for all the accounts because I want to be able to test, differences. So I'm going to be using this as kind of my test account, trying new things on it and kind of keep these the same as I was. So for example, in the Ask Nick Foy account, I'm going to go in here to my Tailwind. I'm going to go under Publisher where I've got 950 scheduled pins. And we're going to delete all of these scheduled pins because right now I think manual pinning is what Pinterest is rewarding the most. So people that are just using these scheduling tools, my traffic, when we come in here to my Pinterest Analytics, I'll go to people you reach and show you what's been happening. So really the traffic's just been kind of flatlining. It's on a decline right now. For the past several days, it's just been dropping. And it continues to fall. As of yesterday on April 20th, we got to our new low of 32,000. So right now it's still showing my monthly viewers at 58.8. This hasn't updated, I've noticed, in several days. So what I mean by that is if we go out here to the home feed, so when you click on this Pinterest logo, it takes you out to your home feed. And you'll notice monthly viewers out here gives me a summary. I'm averaging 58.8, monthly engaged 599. This hasn't updated in several days. I've been tracking it. So again, today I would put in 58,800. But really, when I go inside my Pinterest Analytics, you can see yesterday there was only 32,700 viewers. So that's going to eventually probably reset once a week, I'm guessing. So maybe on Monday, this will reset and there will be a new total number that I'll start logging each day. Virality scores at a 0.6. So I go in here to my Tailwind account and we can go under the Insights tab under Profile Performance. So the virality score, it just takes a look at how many pins your account has. So I've pinned 3,100 times and I've only gotten 2,000 repins. So some of these pins probably haven't even been repinned once. If every pin got repinned at least one time, these numbers would be equal. If every pin here got repinned twice, then the repins would be like 6,300. But right now I'm underperforming. I'm not even getting 1 repin per pin. I'm actually getting 0.7. So it's actually gone up to a new 30-day high. So that's something to note, that it's gone to 0.7 now. So just yesterday and the last few days it was hovering at 0.7. It dropped to 0.6. Now today we're back to 0.7. And then the engagement score, which is the repins per pin per follower. So as my followers have been growing, my engagement score has continued to drop, since your followers impact your engagement score. So that's 0.56. So we'll go ahead and log that. That's pretty much stayed the same. Engagement rate, this is how many pins have at least one repin. So again, only 21% or 22% of my pins have one repin. So that's why my repins are so low. It looks like since only 21% of them have one repin, there's 80% of my pins don't have any repins at all. So when I talked about going in and deleting pins, it looks like there's a lot of pins I could potentially go in and delete that aren't performing right now. They're not even getting a repin. So those would be candidates for deletion. All right, so 21.9%. We'll go ahead and log. That's come up a little bit since yesterday when it was at 21.5. So overall, my engagement rate appears to be improving each day, but my engagement score has stayed flat. My virality score has kind of been up and down a little bit. But I'm trying to get this virality score up to above a 1.0. So I think by going in and deleting all of these underperforming pins that aren't getting any repins that we talked about in the pin inspector, that should bring up that engagement rate and the virality score, the engagement score. All these metrics should come up, and we should start seeing my reach go up just from deleting bad pins. And then on top of that, I'm going to start pinning new strategies, which I'll be showing you in the next episode. I got a new pinning strategy. I already mentioned I'm going to be manually pinning instead of using the Tailwind auto schedule tool under Publisher. I'm going to be deleting all of these, which we can go ahead and open in a new tab. I'll show you how to do that real quick. But once I delete all these pins, I'll start manually pinning and track what happens on this account. So that's going to be the next episode. I'll show you my manual pinning strategy that I've come up with that I'm going to start following. So stay tuned for that episode. Again, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you get updates and notifications when I come out with these new Pinterest case study videos. And if you want to join my email list on my website, AskNickFoy.com, I send lots of helpful tips regarding marketing, social media, blogging, online business. So hop on that newsletter and you'll get a bunch of good free tips that will come to your inbox as well. So under the schedule tab here, as I mentioned today, I've got to delete these pins. So if we go here, I think we can empty K. So these three little dots up here in the corner, we just click on empty K. And that will delete all of your schedule pins if you want to start fresh. This action cannot be undone. So let's go ahead and click that button. It's going to say, warning, you are removing all of your pins from the schedule. So please type out Ask Nick Foy to enable. So we've typed it out, click remove, and boom, my schedule over here to the right is clear. So we now have no more scheduled pins. All these ones that failed to publish anyways, we'll go ahead and delete. A lot of these failed to publish, meaning when I deleted my different group boards, these were originally scheduled to go publish out to those group boards, but now that I deleted those group boards, they failed to publish because the board no longer existed. So we cleared those, we cleared my schedule. So everything here is back to 0. So today we've just got everything all ready. The only thing I have left to do that I'm not going to do on camera is I'm going to go through my pin inspector and check out all of my pins, these 80% of my pins that aren't getting any repins, and I'm going to delete a bunch of them. So tomorrow when we start the next case study where I start my pinning strategy, this number of pins here that's at 3134, which I'll go ahead and log today down here. I've been tracking how many pins I've got. That number is going to drastically be lower. It might be down to 2,000 if I go in today and delete 1,000 pins. I'm not sure yet how many pins I'm going to be deleting, but you'll notice that this number is going to drop because I'm going to go delete a bunch of pins that aren't doing anything. And then in the future, we'll be tracking repins as well. So we're going to hopefully see our repin total start going up. So right now we're at 2,045. So hopefully we can get this number up a lot higher, and maybe once my overall profile score improves, Pinterest will start showing my pins more in the search feeds, and that'll help me start getting more and more repins. Alright guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video. It was a little long, but this is an in-depth video where I'm showing you Pinterest strategies that I believe are going to start improving my account so that we can get this downtrend to start trending back up and I can catch up and get these 58,000 monthly viewers up to 200,000 where I've got my other 2 accounts, and hopefully we get it even higher. I'd love to see one of these accounts get up to that 500,000 and even the million mark. There's other accounts out there that if you click into with Pinterest's new update now, they show how many monthly viewers you have on your profile. So mine shows that I had the 59,000 because that's what it was, 58.8, so they rounded it up to 59,000. If we go to this girl who makes, I believe, like 7 figures a year now, and a lot of it comes from her Pinterest traffic, Michelle Schroeder Gardner. She also sells an affiliate marketing course, which I have not taken and I'm not affiliated with. I just enjoy looking at her content and seeing kind of what she's doing and trying to learn from her. But you could see when we go into her profile that she reaches 3 million monthly viewers. So here I am, you know, with my Ask Nick Foy brand at 58,000 and she's at 3 million. So I've got a long way to go for this account, and even these accounts that are doing well, driving thousands of visitors back to my website every month, I can only imagine what reaching 3 million people is like. I know when I read her blog income reports, you know, she's driving, let's say, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 monthly viewers coming from Pinterest alone. I think her blog probably gets over 1 million page views per month. And again, a lot of that's because of her Pinterest traffic. And the reason she gets so much Pinterest traffic is because she reaches 3 million people a month on Pinterest. So in my case, I make pretty good money off these brands, and I'm only reaching 200,000. So that's why I'm excited to get to her level and reach 3 million, because I think that could, you know, take my income double or triple what it currently is. And that, you know, that would be pretty life-changing. So Pinterest is a super powerful tool. And again, as I'm rambling on here, I'm just trying to, you know, motivate and inspire you, I guess, to use Pinterest if you're not taking it serious or not using it yet in your business, because it can be a powerful tool, as I've seen studying other influencers online. And that's why I'm shifting my focus now for these next several months to Pinterest and YouTube. These are my 2 platforms I'm putting all my time and energy into, because I believe they can grow my traffic to my website, my products, and ultimately increase my income. So I'm going to be doing these case studies for you guys, showing you what's working, what's not working, being transparent. You're kind of getting inside look at all this stuff. A lot of people don't show this kind of stuff. They just, you know, show you after the fact. And again, I probably will add some of these case studies to a course. I'll probably make a course someday, because it is kind of hard to keep up with all these videos when they come out sporadically. So by having a course and at some point in the future, that's going to be a way to kind of organize my content and get it all clumped together so that you guys can go through it quickly in like a day. You could run through the whole course and be all caught up to speed on what's working and what's not working in 2018/2019. All right, I'm done rambling. Let's end this video. Thank you again for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you guys in the next case study where we're going to talk about my pinning strategy. Take care.